That's when I started embracing my body. I think it was like the MySpace days where I first took my unclothed picture. I remember I was wearing like these boxer shorts that were like cheetah print, and I had like this big furry hat. And I think I might have put like whipped cream on my nipple. I don't know. It was like a ridiculous picture, but it was like one of my favorites. It was probably like the first picture I remember taking without like a shirt or anything on it. I just like, I don't know, I just got into it then.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so happy you came by. The Queerly Blax Show aims to normalize the everyday existence of Black, LGBTQIA+ individuals through an interview-style series with regular folks like you and me. So every week, a new guest shares their story and unique perspective on their existence as an LGBTQIA+ individual. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe, download, set your reminders to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley. I'm joined today by a special guest, Mr. Branden Lee. Branden, tell the people about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Branden Lee. I'm a writer, actor, YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel called Sexpertise. I just published my first book, Virgin Porn Star Volume 1. And yeah, I'm a man of many talents, and I love entertaining people.
Awesome. So you have a very interesting release coming out. You have a book coming out that documents some of your experiences that we're definitely going to talk about. We're going to dig into that. But I want to go back to before you were the 19-year-old virgin. I want to talk about the beginning of Mr. Branden. Okay. So what do you remember was your first encounter with your sexuality?
Okay, I always say this story. I was 3. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie. I would watch it day in and day out. I love that movie, but I was in love with Gaston. So like, I was upset she ended up with the Beast. I was like, Gaston is way more attractive and hotter. And I just remember that scene where he like ripped his shirt open. He has like his big like chest out, and I feel like that's definitely when I knew I was gay. So I would say when I was 3 years old watching Beauty and the Beast, and I feel like that's still my type. I want a Gaston.
3 watching Beauty and the Beast. That was actually a great movie. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. So at 3, of course, you don't have language for like what that is. You just know that you like this character. When you were going through school, did you date like boys and girls, or did you or neither?
I will say like in preschool, I used to like play house with a boy, I remember, and like I would be the wife and he'd be like the husband. And then I remember like I think people started like teasing him about it, and then he just like stopped, and then like it never happened. I remember being so devastated and sad about that because I like loved playing house together. But honestly, when it comes to dating, I never dated until later in life. I never had a boyfriend until I was 26, but I'd been on dates and stuff. I guess the first like somewhat dating situation I had was in high school. I was in 11th grade. There was like a guy that was a year younger than me. I think we met on the track team. I only did track for like 1 season in high school because I'm not athletic, but I like weightlifting and working out, but I'm just not like a sports type of person. But I did track because my friends did track, and like there was this guy that was a year younger than me, and he was kind of like more of the aggressor to like us starting to hang out. I was pretty much like the only openly gay kid in school. I came out when I was 15, and everyone in school I was gay. Like there weren't really many out people, and I was definitely very flamboyant and not ashamed of my sexuality. So like I was very out there, and everyone knew me as like the gay kid in school. And this guy was just younger than me, and he just started like messaging me. We started chatting, and then we started hanging out. And then he'd like come over weekly, and we'd like do like, I guess, stuff that you would consider dating, just like ordering food, watching movies, listening to music, watching YouTube. But like we weren't official, so I don't ever count that as like my first relationship because I only count it if there's an official title. So I didn't officially have my first boyfriend until I was 26, almost 27, but that was my only real like somewhat dating-esque encounter in high school. otherwise I had to wait until college to actually start like dating regularly and being more free to be my openly gay self, because I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. So I went to college in Boston. So it wasn't until I got to move to like a major city, where I actually got to feel like free and be around other openly gay people and actually like fully embrace my sexuality in terms of just being able to do whatever I want and be free.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people share that experience of being able to like fully embrace themselves once you get around other people who kind of make you find that community, right? Like you find other people who are similar to you. How was it when you came out when you were 15? Was that like to your parents, or did you come out to like a friend first, or how was that?
I feel like I started coming out to like random people at first, like online, just people I talk to, because I feel like it's so much easier when it's like someone you're not as close to. And it's just very much like breaking the ice, where it's just like, okay, I don't have to worry about someone not liking me or like any backlash, because I'm coming out to people that aren't like a major part of my life. But it was actually it's pretty obvious that I'm gay. Everyone's always really knew, since like my voice, and just like I've always been very feminine and flamboyant. So it wasn't really like a secret, but I came up to my parents when I was 16. So that it wasn't like a bad experience. It just was like, it was obvious, as like my mom's just like, we like know he's gay. But like my dad actually wasn't surprised, but like nothing bad happened. I wasn't like kicked out or disowned or anything. I'm an only child, so like my parents, I'm all they
It's
have.
like all or nothing. Like you take
Exactly.
it or leave it. You either
Yeah,
have
so
this kid or no kids.
pretty much. And I'm just grateful like I didn't have like a very negative experience, but I mean it wasn't like always like an easy experience. Like I've dealt with like homophobia and like negative comments from my parents and whatnot, but it wasn't like a terrible coming out story. And I'm definitely grateful for that. And I'm also grateful, like being a Black gay person, I wasn't raised with religion, because I know a lot of people have to deal with like a religious family and that backlash and conservativeness. And thankfully I wasn't raised in a religious household, and my parents aren't really religious. So I never had that barrier to deal with.
Yeah, that's important. I think for you, because I've always pretty much looked like a tomboy to some extent, right? And so I think people weren't shocked when I was gay either. It was just kind of like, okay, we got it.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds like you had a very similar experience, but I think people still just because you don't have that challenge, there are other challenges. And you alluded to like, your voice and kind of your mannerisms being, more feminine and things like that. What were some of the challenges that you face with having those, like what people consider obvious signs of, you know, he has to be gay because of this, or he has to be gay because of that, right? What are some of the challenges that come along with that? Whether it's preconceived notions about who you might be, and all of the things that people just put on you because of all of that.
Well, I feel like I've dealt with being bullied and like teased for my voice my entire life. I mean, it doesn't faze me now because I'm in my 30s, but I felt like growing up, I'd always be scared to just like talk in front of the class, or be scared to like raise my hand if I know the answer. But I was always very smart and like good at school, but I just like, I feel like teachers would think like, I had some teachers I pretty much assumed like I didn't know the answer, or like that I didn't know what was happening because I wasn't like participating, but I like know and follow along, but I just was very quiet and reserved because I just had to be like afraid of speaking because people were so like mean about my voice my entire life. But it wasn't until like 8th grade where I finally got over that. And then because I had to be paired with this girl, and she was like very like, I guess a bitch in a lesser sense. So like everyone hated her, but like I am very grateful for her in the fact that she like pushed me to like be comfortable speaking in front of the class. And then I just got over that fear of being afraid of using my voice and talking. So I just got over it. I don't care what people feel about my voice or making fun of it or whatnot. Like there's nothing anyone can say about my voice now that I haven't heard already. Like,
yeah. What you are also, you also have a, you know, body positivity, and you're very much, you know, have a comfortability with yourself that people aspire to have. Where does that come from you? And when was the first time you kind of shared like a picture of you with no clothes on?
I did grow up bullied and teased for my body. I have always had man boobs and I was bullied for them as a child. And then now it's become like my biggest feature that people embrace and love the most. And I love my chest too. Like it's definitely my favorite body part, but I did grow up bullied and teased for it. I was a chubby kid growing up. I was bullied for that. And I felt like the big change started when the summer before I started high school, my parents basically forced me to like join the Y and start working out. But I'm grateful for that because I got into like routine and dedication, and it really did like help. It was probably like the first thing I've ever really had to be like dedicated to, and like, because I know like people grow up in like sports and extracurricular activities, and that helps them like with routine and like dedication. So like getting into the gym was my first time where I actually was like, okay, I have to stick with this. I have to make a routine. And it's like, I basically was on my own after like that first initial consultation. So like, it was just like working out on my own and just getting into it and embracing working out and embracing loving it. And I was like 14 when I first joined the gym. So then the weight pretty much came off pretty quickly. It was like the summer before I started high school. So like, it was like, as soon as I started high school, I basically felt like I was like a new person. Like I was like out, I was like, my body's different. It's kind of like people like that I even went to like middle school with the entire time. It's like they acted like they don't remember anything before high school because it's like I was a different person like back then. But that's when I started embracing my body. I think it was like the MySpace days where I first took my unclothed picture. I remember I was wearing like these boxer shorts that were like cheetah print, and I had like this big furry hat. And I think I might have put like whipped cream on my nipple. I don't know. It was like a ridiculous picture, but it was like one of my favorites. It was probably like the first picture I remember taking without like a shirt or anything on it. I just like, I don't know, I just got into it then. It was back in the MySpace days. And I wasn't even on MySpace for that long because I felt like I joined it right the year before Facebook started taking over. So like I only was on MySpace for like a year until like I just got into Facebook, and then it just branched out into all other forms of social media. But I don't know, I guess it is weird when people do say body positivity and people like, I get a lot of compliments for that, but I always just feel like to me, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything like brave or revolutionary because it's like, I love my body, I love how I look. So it's not like a big deal like to take a picture without clothes on, but I guess a lot of people do have that fear. And I guess since I got over my body fears early in life, so it's different to me. I guess I'm not aware. I don't feel like a body positivity like role model, but I guess I am in a way.
Yeah, no, it is. I think what I'll say is I think we all have gifts, and you know, when something's a gift, it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel unnatural. And I think that's a gift of yours, is just like embracing all of who you are as a person, embracing the fullness of who you are. And there are a lot of people who aspire to have that. So I'm grateful that you don't have that fear and that you share so openly, and that it's your gift, you know, that it's a part of what makes you up so naturally, right? I think there's things about all of us that we have that come to us naturally that are just like, I'm not afraid of public speaking. Like I public speak, you know, all the time. And I think, but that's like the number one fear of people, which I think is crazy because I'm like, you know, it's just speaking, right? But we know that's the number one fear of most people. So I think we all have gifts, and I think that's just a gift of yours. And so you are absolutely doing something that is amazing and helping a lot of people. So I'm just glad that you don't see it as like this like heroic thing, but it absolutely is.
I guess I do it so often, it just is not like, it just doesn't feel like I'm doing anything like special. But I did just get like messages like this week when people say like body positivity, like I love your body positivity. I'm just like, thank you. But it's like, okay, I'm just taking like a shirtless picture. I guess it's like, even in like the gay world, people are so used to seeing like shirtless men or like naked men. But it's like, when your body isn't, I guess, a twink or like a six pack, I guess it is still like rare to see that.
We got to do better. Okay, so let's talk about virgin porn star. So
yes,
documenting
show off
experiences.
the book.
Yes.
Available on Amazon.
Nice. That's a really sleek cover.
Yeah, I wanted the matte color cover, and I picked this picture as a photograph taken by my friend Zisheng Lang. He's a photographer in Boston, but we took it when I was in college. But since the book takes place during my college years, I just wanted to make sure the picture was like from that time period. And this is one of my favorite pictures, and I thought it'd be great for like a book cover. And
yeah, it's pretty cool. It almost looks like a magazine or like one of those what do you call them, like couture books that you put on like your table for like decor.
Yeah, it's like a coffee table book.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a nice size. It's under 200 pages, so it's not going to be like a super long read. So definitely get your copy today.
Yeah, you said on Amazon, so I'll put the link in the podcast at the bottom. So virgin porn star, you're documenting is this your sexual experiences from when you were a 19-year-old virgin?
Yes, the book, it starts where I started my blog. So I began my blog, Virgin Porn Star, in 2010. It started as my Tumblr. And I still blog about my dating and sex life. It's just something I've never given up doing. And now I just feel like the book is just a way to keep those older posts alive and just give them like new life to new audiences of people that may not, like, I don't think anyone's ever gonna go scroll back like 11 years to like the beginning, or 12 years now to like the beginning of the blog. So I feel like you can just buy the book and you get to learn about me from the beginning of who I was. And it definitely was a cathartic experience just going back and reading all this old posts from over a decade ago where I was a 19-year-old virgin in college, like figuring out life. This was like life before Grindr, before online dating. Like, it was definitely different. It's just crazy to even think like I was in college like a decade ago. Like, it's been that long since, like,
right. Trust me, I have the same feeling.
Yeah, but it was just a great experience. Like, there were some stories that were harder than others to like go back and reread and have to like edit and proofread, but it was just very much like it just all took me back to like those moments of my life and everything I experienced during that first year of my blog. Like, it picks up, I started my blog November 2010 and the book goes through December 2011, so it is over a year of my life, and there's so much that happens within that year where I am 19 and then the book ends where I'm just turned 21.
What made you want to start documenting your experiences?
I felt like my favorite blogs, like growing up or like reading before, were about people's dating and sex lives, because I felt like no matter your age, race, gender, orientation, socioeconomic status, background, like we all date, we all love, we all hook up, we are looking for that connection, and like we all, like, no matter what, you can like relate to people about their dating experiences and like where they come from and like what we have to go through, and just like even just relating with other people about how terrible like men are and how dating men can be, just like all those bad experiences. It's just like, it's been probably the easiest way to connect with other people, like making friends like with other women or like gay men. It's like we all have like boy problems. I figured like that's what I want to share and what I want to discuss. And it's not just all about sex, but it's just like all my thoughts and feelings and experiences about like everything I go through. I think like my blog is kind of like a public diary. So it's just like a lot of just things I go through, but it is mainly centered around like dating and sexual experiences, but also everything that ties off of that. Like, there's also posts about friendships and jobs, because I had like this traveling internship in college where I was like miserable having like work and live with the same 4 people for like 4 months, and like I was the only one under 21, I was the only gay one. Like, it was just that disconnect, but I was like grateful I got to like travel the country and see like so many different places like I'd never been to before and see different experiences. So looking back, I'm grateful for the experiences, but when I was living through it, I was like miserable. That's definitely like captured a lot in the book, but it's just like being in college, being Black and gay, being embracing online dating for the first time, and having all that like back and forth, like, do I want to do this? I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Then also that internal like struggle that I feel like I've always dealt with is like, do I want to be a slut or do I want to be in love and live happily ever after? And I feel like that's something a lot of people can probably relate to.
I love it. What was your first blog entry?
My first blog entry, if I go back and look, I think it was just a little background refresher. It is, chapter 1 is what's my type. So just go into like what type of guys I'm into. And honestly, I feel like even now that's still the same. Even when I first discovered I like men, I've always had like, my type has always been big and beefy guys. So maybe that also is probably why body positivity is easy for me, because I've never really been into guys that are like the conventional like twink, or what gays I guess usually are advertised as like perfect body. Like I like a big beefy like man, like rugby player, an offensive lineman, like that as like my body type. Like I'm not into like a supermodel, or like I've never been into like skinny guys. So yeah, that's what I like.
What's one of the craziest stories that you wrote about?
There's a lot of them. I'm definitely going to do like a live reading soon. I had people vote for which chapter I should live read, and the one that won was Don't Wake the Horny Beast, and that's about my first threesome experience. So that'll be exciting to write about. But honestly, probably the hardest one to like relive was when I got kicked out of a party for the first time. I think it's like the only time I been kicked out of a party, but it was like very dramatic. I had like this girl I had a class with invited us all to her birthday, and then like I'm the only one from our group. We were all in the same group in my TV production class, and like I'm the one that went, but like I did not get the memo. It was like supposed to be a classy party because I should have been like club attire. And then she was like really good friends with like my arch nemesis in college. I just had this like other gay guy at school who like has hated me since like freshman orientation. And I felt like the reason he just never liked me is because like he probably came from his school thinking he's like the most flamboyant gay and like everyone knows him and like he gets all the attention for being gay. But then like you come to college and there's other people that also are the most flamboyant gays in their school. And I just was more interesting, more appealing, more attractive, and got way more attention than he did. And I feel like he always was resentful and bitter for it. And then, yeah, he just made sure I got kicked out of that party.
Yeah.
And I also was a drunk mess, but
that had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. I don't think I was that drunk. I can remember a lot.
Yeah.
Even now.
So how has like dating and boy problems changed for you since that time? Because I imagine you probably hadn't read some of that stuff since when you wrote it. And now, like, 2022 or 2021, probably when you were developing it, like going back and reading some of it, was it like, wow, some things were like still the same and some things were like, wow, I have come such a long way from like that?
Exactly. I feel like a lot of stuff, I feel like I still feel the same way. And like, I was just surprised, like going back and rereading it. I was talking about things like polyamory and open relationships. I was like, oh, wow, over a decade ago, like that was still so popular. Because I feel like now, like it's always that people are talking about like open and poly relationships and like how prevalent they are. And like now I feel like they are like the new normal, especially in like the queer community. But it was just surprising, like going back then, like over a decade ago, like wow, like this was still like a topic and things that people were talking about, and like I still had like thoughts and feelings about them. But I feel like probably the biggest change has been like I was so scared of online dating at first and like so skeptical and be like, I don't want to do this, I don't like this, I don't want to. And then now it's like I've only been in 2 relationships like officially, and they all started online. Like pretty much most of my relationships and encounters have been online. Like I've met like hundreds of guys I met online. It's just like crazy going back and like reading how scared I was of online dating and how it's just like so skeptical. And then now it's just like, I'm like the queen of online dating. And it's like, this is just nothing to me. Like, I have no fears about it. And I'm very like a huge advocate for online dating because I feel like even now I still have people saying how like they don't want to meet someone online. They want their partner to be someone they meet organically or in person. But it's kind of feel like online dating doesn't prevent you from meeting people offline. It just gives you way more people to meet that you honestly probably wouldn't ever come in contact with otherwise. So I feel like it's a great tool to help you like meet people, get out there, make friends. Like online dating, I've gotten so many dates, hookups, friends, even job interviews, like networking. Like it's a great tool. It's just whatever you make of it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, in whatever energy you place on it is, you know, you can get good things back from it. So that's awesome, man. So Amazon, it's available. Virgin Porn Star.
Yes, buy my book today on Amazon. I published it exactly a month and a day ago. It's been available since March 2nd. But I honestly started doing it, like editing it on like January 1st. That was like my New Year's resolution to like publish a book this year. And I like didn't expect it to be like done so fast, but
yeah,
I did it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, congratulations, man. That's awesome that, you know, you were able to accomplish that goal, you know, and get a book out there that, you know, I'm sure people are going to be both entertained and find community in, because people will probably read a lot of it and be like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one who dealt with that.
Even then, it's just like so much, like just looking back of where I was as a young gay man at like 19, and then now that I'm 31, it's just like how so much has happened throughout the world. And I guess I am grateful to have like my entire 20s documented. Like I have kept up with the blog, so I still have posts dating all back, and this is just year one, so I definitely hope to turn every other year into a book as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Amazon, I'll definitely make sure people can find a link in the bio and, you know, the caption to be able to go support your book. As we get close to the end, 2 questions. One is, if you had a theme song for your life, what would it be?
Theme song for my life. I'm like a huge music person, so like it is hard to see like, wow, one song. I probably, my first choice probably be like When I Grow Up in the Pussycat Dolls. I love that song.
Who's it by?
The Pussycat Dolls.
Oh,
when
the
I
Pussycat
grow
Dolls,
up,
yeah.
I want to be famous. I want to be a star. I want to be in movies. Want to see the
like
world. Drive nice cars. Want to have
groups. Awesome. Second question, last question. If you had advice for someone who's going through their own queer journey, what would it be?
My advice would be never give up. Life does get better. You just have to make it through this hurdle, and you should never live your life trying to please other people. Like, you only have one life to live. You have to do what makes you happy. It doesn't matter about likes or views or response. Like, do things because it's what you enjoy. You get joy and fulfillment from this. That's how I always prefer to like live my life. Like, no matter like how many views my YouTube video gets, it's like I'm doing it because I love doing this. I don't do it because I care about likes and views, because then your life will not be your own if you're only worried about what other people do or how they respond to it. I feel like, especially as an artist, it's like all I can do is create the art and want to put it out there. So then how other people embrace it is not up to me. Like, I can promote it. I can try my best to like just try to get as many people to see it, but what they think of it and how they interpret it is not my concern as the artist. I just have to worry about moving on to the next project and what I want to release next, because it's like there's only so much you can do and you can't control how other people feel. So just do what you love and what makes you happy, and it doesn't matter how other people feel about it. Like, other people will embrace it and other people won't like it. It's just part of life. But go for and embrace the people that do support you and appreciate you, and don't worry about the ones that don't. and never be afraid to cut off toxic people from your life.
And that's a word. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Branden. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Brandeness, BRANDENESSS. You can also find me on Twitter at Brandeness, BRANDENESS. And I'm on TikTok, Brandeness, YouTube, Sexpertise, which is SEXXPERTEASE. You can buy my book on Amazon. I have a link tree that has everything available, so you can just find all my links in one place. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for coming on, Branden. Definitely appreciate you. All right, y'all. It's another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host. I'll catch y'all on the next one.